So this is episode 13 of...
Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS.
She says that right every time. I was about to go, this is episode 13 of the PTO... No, wait. That's the other podcast. So...
Keep listeners on their toes.
Yeah. Do you know what podcast you're listening to?
It's a mystery to all of us.
Wait, who turned on the... It's a mystery to all of us. That's true. We don't even know what podcast we're on. This is Star Trek, right? The Next Generation podcast?
Yeah.
I thought it was Harry Potter.
Sometimes, to be fair. Anyways, this is, like she said, this is two girls, a guy, and a TARDIS. And we are glad you're joining us. We have a lot to talk about and nothing at all to talk about in a sense. Because there really is no news. I mean, the BBC posted a nice little video clip of Matt Smith and David Tennant hanging out backstage, if you will, for all of you in the theater business. Just talking about being on the 50th and stuff. And there's kind of a little mild spoiler in there, but nothing too drastic that'll give anything really away. Series 8 is confirmed by the BBC.
Yay!
Stephen Moffat's working on it. They also mentioned how it's going to be a big coming up year for Doctor Who with the Adventure in Space and Time, with the docudrama about the creation of Doctor Who, the 50th anniversary special, which now I'm looking more forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What else we got here? We got the
Christmas
special, and they mention all that, and mention Series 8, and then say, and something even bigger than the 50th anniversary episode. So, what that could be, I don't know. But I want to make sure I said that right, so let me double check my source. But I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it said. Yeah, they hinted something bigger for the 50th in the November 23rd special. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder what that could be.
I'm excited.
I am too. And we have some news. Nicole was in New York.
Yes.
This past weekend with Joanna number 1.
You're a better half.
Yeah.
John.
Thanks. And and would you like to tell us who and what you saw?
Yes, I saw Arthur Darvill in Once. And he did not come out afterwards.
And Once is a
musical on Broadway.
On Broadway. And how was Arthur Darvill?
He was very good. I mean, because he obviously sang, but it's not like your typical, like, Broadway big...
It's not like Barrowman singing?
No.
Okay.
No. It's more singer-songwritery songs, so he didn't have to, like, belt out a big Broadway show tune. But he played the guitar.
Although I would have loved to have seen him, like... If they did a Doctor Who the musical with him as a Roman, I'd love to see him belting out, like...
There was a totally... I thought, I wonder if anybody else here is thinking this. I thought probably not. But there's a line where he's talking, because he fixes, his character obviously fixes vacuum cleaners, and, he keeps saying he fixes Hoovers. And he keeps saying, I'm the Hoover, Hoover repairman, Hoovers, and he says Hoovers like 20 million times.
So you think
and
it was a reference to Doctor Who?
Well, I know it was in there before, but when he kept saying it, I kept thinking, Doctor Who? And I'm like, probably nobody else is thinking that, because I know it's not meant to... It was in the script before. That's what his character does. They call him Hoovers. Okay, but I kept, like, half expecting him to, like, be talking about, like...
My time... He gets drunk. My time in the TARDIS. He just goes off script. Drops his knees and yells for Amy.
But it was so funny, because I just thought it was... For me, I thought probably everyone else here is not thinking that. But me, I'm going, Hoovers. And then I was thinking of the Doctor Who burlesque, because she was going through the names.
Yeah. Yeah.
And before she came
They're
to
called
Whovians,
Hoovers in the Girl Center.
Yeah. I was like...
I like that show. It was
not
clever.
The context, but I'm like, Hoovers. But yeah, he did not come out afterwards. Most of the rest of the cast did, but...
Any other names that would be recognized? Or just him?
No, everyone else is pretty much just Broadway people that had, parts and things, but not, like, huge names. But then, well, I said I was half looking for him that Stephen Moffat was in our hotel.
Yeah, for the Peabodys.
And apparently Matt Smith, too.
Yeah, and Jenna Louise Coleman. Because were the Peabodys in your hotel?
Yes.
So they won the Peabody, or a Peabody. And sad side note was that... Actually, no, it's not sad, because you saw once on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I believe Saturday was when Matt Smith was at the Doctor Who bar in New York watching the finale. So you wouldn't have been able to see him anyway. Keep it in your pants, Joanna.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a Doctor Who bar, right, in New York, in the Bronx, is it?
Brooklyn.
Apparently, there's a picture of Matt Smith coming out of a mock-up TARDIS in that bar. I believe it's that bar. And it must have been that bar because there's only the one in New York, and he was there. So, but I think it was Saturday when it aired, which you would have been out at the other show.
But what we did, which told you, not Doctor Who related, but we rode in the elevator with the director of Austin Powers.
It's not bad.
Jay Roach.
He would direct a great Doctor Who episode, I think. The TARDIS gets stuck in between two walls when he's trying to turn it around. He's bouncing back and forth.
But I just kept thinking when that happened, I was like, okay, Jay Roach was there. I was like, okay, I noticed. I didn't say anything, but I'm like, okay, that's Jay Roach.
Joanna said he had a name tag on that actually said it. You can't see this, but Nicole is like shaking telling me the story.
He was like, but I just kept thinking afterwards when I learned that Doctor Who was nominated, I thought, how overwhelming would that have been for the elevator doors to open up and Stephen Moffat to have been standing in. I was like, that was a total possibility then. Those elevator doors could have opened up and it could have been Stephen Moffat standing there in the corner.
Yeah, that's like I was in Vegas, I think my first time, and we were at the Monte Carlo, and they were having the ESPY Awards, the ESPN, I think it's ESPYs, and we were like 4 feet away from Dale Earnhardt, who at the time I was a big fan of because I watched NASCAR a lot back then, because it used to be cool, and they used to actually allow him to go fast. But but he was like right there, and like, I mean, you couldn't get close. Like, there was no way you were going to get an autograph. I think there's a picture I have somewhere of like him like waving as he walks away. But there were just tons of people around him. But we saw a couple people. But, I was never in the elevator with, someone famous.
But yeah, I was like, also, like, maybe it would have been tempting to say something, except he was like looking down at his phone, obviously trying not to make eye contact with anybody in the elevator, and I'm like...
Should we follow him on Twitter and go back in time and see if there was a reference to, this girl keeps staring at me in the elevator?
But I just kept thinking, I thought, that would have been... I just would have, like, fainted or something. I thought I was hallucinating if those elevator doors had opened and Stephen Moffat had been standing there.
That's true. Like... But here's the funniest part about your trip was, I get a text at 11:01 a.m. Central Time on May 20th saying Stephen Moffat will be somewhere in our hotel tonight. It's from you. Now, that was at 11:01, right? Okay, I can't find the other one, but Joanna sent me a message. You sent me the Stephen Moffat message, and within a minute I get, Jay Roach is in our... Nicole just said Jay Roach is in our elevator. I'm like, they're standing next to each other texting me.
Yep.
That's never happened before with my friends.
I'm sure it happens all the time. I think you and your friend sit at the table and then talk to each other on Twitter.
Yes, we do. Yeah, I've done that. We've been called out on it before.
Yeah, I just...
another interesting side note, I just got an email, speaking of theater, and speaking of Don't Blink, the director from Don't Blink thanked us for all our support, and said that if we ever want her to join the podcast, so I'll respond and we'll have her on one day too. We're actually lining up some guests.
Yes.
We could probably get Busty the writer.
See, if I'd been in the elevator with Stephen Moffat...
You just hit the emergency stop and interviewed him right there.
Say, hey, we have a Doctor Who podcast. Would you like to be a guest?
Just interview him right there against his will, and then we could have asked for we could have just asked for donations on the next podcast to get you out of jail to help you make bail. But so New York was good. You got to see Arthur Darvill. You guys saw some sights. You saw some stuff that you wanted to see that you didn't see last time. So that's cool.
Yes, that was our only celebrity sighting, though, I think.
Well, that's still fine.
Although once, I said, once my mom and I were there having drinks in a hotel bar. It was kind of late, and there was nobody in there. And then John Travolta came in with, like, his entourage. And it was just us.
So his
and John
entourage,
Travolta.
is that like Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis, the guys that hung out with him when he did Pulp Fiction?
No.
Or was it like the Get Shorty entourage?
No, it
Gene
was...
Hackman's hanging with him? No?
It was just his little group of people that went, yes, that is right what you're saying. Exactly.
So other Scientologists.
All I knew was this group that he had, they agreed with every word he said. They were obviously there to... I think they were trying to convince him of something, probably, or else... But they agreed with every... Because we could hear every word they said, because it was just us and them in this little bar.
Does he talk different than he does in the movies?
No.
Does he smoke cigarettes all weird like he did in Broken Arrow?
Well, he was inside, so...
True.
Couldn't smoke. But yeah, that was... I said, when I learned that Stephen Moffat would be in the hotel, I was like...
You immediately texted me, I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, I waited till
You're like, wait a minute, the Peabodys are here. Wait a minute, that's Jay Roach. Wait a minute, that means Stephen Moffat's going to be here. And then you texted.
I was like, wait a second. But that was what went through my head. I went, that would have been... I would have thought I was hallucinating if those elevator doors had opened up and Stephen Moffat had been standing in that elevator.
Can you see Nicole, like, reaching out with her hand, like, just petting him, like, are you really here?
Yes, and you've been like giving her the stink eye. I'm like, boy, who are you?
Security walks over. Ma'am, would you please stop petting the executive producer?
I would have behaved myself, but I probably would have just stared at him the whole time.
I was going to say, you probably would have just sat there staring at him. He's like, you going up? And you're like,
Uh-huh.
Even after he just came down like 8 floors or whatever. Uh-huh. And she would stand right in the middle of the doors just staring at him like a little kid. God, and that's just the executive producer. What would have happened if you'd seen Matt Smith or Jenna Louise? Nicole faints. She comes to in Matt Smith's arms as he's like trying to wake her up. She faints again.
Anyone would faint. Any girl would faint. Ernie.
I just, that to me was, but Joanna could tell you I was, like, trying, I'm like, where would he be? Well, like, when we came back to the hotel, I'm like,
you were hunting?
I was like, I'm just going to take a peek in the bar over there and make sure that
She's
no
like
one's hanging out there.
She's like a tigress hunting her prey.
I was like, I don't want to know that he was, like, hanging out in the bar. We just walked past and I didn't look, so I just, like, took a peek. I'm like, nobody I recognize. I just, if there was a chance that I could spot him from afar, I would have been able to say, I saw Stephen Moffat, or I'm not always good at, like, starting, because when I met Chris Hardwick, I was like, I like could not.
I think it depends on the celebrity.
And I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't, it was just like, but just like starting, like I went up to him and he actually, it took me a moment to like figure out what I was going to say, and he was like, he was standing like near the bathrooms of the place, so he's like, did you need to get through to the, and it's like, no, I can't talk to you.
Nicole just opens her mouth and goes,
it was like, no, I didn't.
She's like Rajesh in The Big Bang Theory.
I was like, no, I did come to talk to you. And then once I was talking, he was very nice. And
we got a whole bunch of new listeners today, so we're stepping it up a notch. We're going to the next level. We're building the second story. I don't know how many other bad puns I could put in here, but I'll find them. No, but now we are going to discuss Series 7's finale.
Oh, yes.
Because I've been waiting to discuss this since, when did I watch it? Sunday night? I watched it Sunday after I think Isabella went to bed. Because otherwise she would have been grabbing the remote control and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, you go to bed and I'll watch this. I don't even. Who wants to start? Because I always end up like talking over you two. So who wants to start?
I loved it.
Okay, then we got the starter. Joanna's starting it.
I loved it.
I agree.
All right, it was one of my favorite. It was actually my favorite episode of the Matt Smith era.
It was definitely my favorite Series 7 episode.
I think it's one of my favorite of the Matt Smith's era because I watched it with a bunch of friends at Anime Central after.
Yeah, for the listeners, while John was home doing chores. One of our podcasters was at Anime Central all weekend. The other one was with John's wife in New York.
We all have
John
lives.
John was repainting giving the TARDIS a fresh coat of TARDIS blue on the outside.
Excellent. I watched it with a bunch of friends. Bunch of friends and staff members and some of their friends after 10 o'clock, after the office for ADA compliance closed. So I'm there with Carol, Nick, Ken, Bree, Devin.
I'm just going to say, you're saying all these names. These people better listen to us.
Oh, they better.
Okay, good.
They're getting mentioned. Anyways,
Exactly.
they're getting mentioned. So we all watched it. We turned down the lights. We had my friend's laptop up, and we just watched it. We were like, when we saw the titles for Gallifrey a very long time ago, we all just went.
Oh, I thought that was great. I thought it was so well done. But
But I did not expect all of that. We have Madame Bastra, we have River Song, we had Strax, Jenny.
I didn't expect an episode that good with the characters that were in it. And I like the characters. It just... You're used to seeing Vastra and Jenny and Strax in more lighthearted kind of stuff, you know? But
Yes.
I will go on record as this. Best season finale probably ever in the new series for sure.
Oh, yes.
The only one the only one that I think is a series finale that comes close is Eccleston's, where the Daleks returned, because you kind of thought they were gone, and then there they are. But this was so well done. I mean, all the clips and seeing what a TARDIS looks like before it changes was a brilliant idea. I mean,
I did not expect that. It was like all unexpected. I mean, you saw
and all in like 48 minutes or something.
it was like
The amount of
jam-packed.
episode that was packed in there was...
It was jam-packed. I did not expect, like, the whispers, like those creatures. Oh, I did not like them.
You know what I could have done without them? I
Yeah.
almost would have liked to have seen the silence instead.
Ooh.
Something, something kind of known. Or what were those creatures the Daleks used to use
Oh,
in the old series? They were like they look like Santarans with a chimpanzee head. But I mean, I think you could have done the episode kind of without them. But I mean, I guess you needed them to get Strax and Jenny and Vastra, there. I like the touch of saying how it was basically inferred that River was a projection from the computer in the library. Well, it wasn't inferred. She says it.
yeah.
She flat out tells Clara that.
Yes.
I mean, Nicole, what about you?
Yeah, well, I watched it almost the moment I got back.
Your mom's got a tablet in the car. Watch it.
She did wait for me. She said she'd wait. Because I was like, I did say before I left, I'm like, this is so unfair. I'm going to miss the finale. She's like, I'll wait.
I know, the
won't
minute you
watch
guys
it.
are like, oh, we're going to New York that week, I'm like, that's the finale. God darn it.
And then, like, she was actually, when I got home, like, do you want to watch the finale now? So I was like, which, I mean, I didn't need much prodding to want to watch it
No,
anyway.
you weren't working the next day, so I mean...
No. So I was like, okay, so then we watched it. And yeah, we were both talking about how much we liked that the only past doctor that Clara actually spoke to was Hartnell. So you kind of went back to the very beginning.
But it's so well done that
Yeah.
you saw some of the other ones.
And it was so, but that moment too was so him. Like the way that the clips
Yeah.
they cut, I was like, they managed to make, that is exactly how he would have responded to her. Like,
The only doctor that looked awkward was whoever they hired to play Trout
Yeah.
running away. It looked like him, but not quite. But it was close enough. I mean, it was still really just so well done. In fact, I don't think I've read anything about that episode. I think it had the highest AI of the series. I mean,
yeah, I thought, Well, I thought
And
that was a good way to put in the classic doctors there.
It was excellent.
They were all there.
And you know what? If that was something that was done that way in the 50th, I would be totally happy with that. Because I can understand not having them come back. I think you could probably have them do like a quick voiceover with an old clip to kind of have them back, but you wouldn't even really need to. The way that was done, this episode has given me complete confidence that the 50th anniversary will be done right. There's not a doubt in my mind that the 50th is not going to be good. And because a lot of this series to me was just kind of, especially the first half, but what a way to go out.
Well, I thought I thought that this finale actually, I thought the pacing was better than the other finales because, like, last year, it was like they just kept throwing stuff at you. Like, there's this, then this, then this, then this, then this. It was like with the Wedding a River song. There was, like, it was never a moment to, like, focus on anything.
It just wasn't that good a story either.
But it had some good parts.
Yeah, it did. But
It
just didn't
settle
gel
on any one. They like wanted to make it so action packed. They had to keep moving and keep going, and like this one would like stuff would happen, and then they'd like take a moment, and like the conference call. If that was in last year's finale, that would have been like 2 minutes long, and then they would have just come out of it, and Jenny would be dead, and Bastra would be surrounded. This they like let it build, and it was like. First, it was like humor. And then they switched over to the.
I love Strax going to the bar to get in bar brawls.
In Glasgow.
Yeah, in Glasgow.
And he's the only one that joins it by being knocked unconscious.
Yeah, it's true. Good sir, would you please hit me? Oh man, I don't know. I just didn't. Well, how about you, Joanna? I mean, is there anything you didn't like?
No, I'm like, I think.
I mean, like I said, I could do without the creatures, but
someone asked me, did Moffat troll us? I'm like, I don't know. I was like stunned by the whole finale. I still don't know.
He really pulled a rope up this season, whatever you want to call it. I mean, here it seemed like the whole thing was waning, and it was like, okay, how good can this be? And pretty damn good, because, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I didn't listen to any other podcasts or anything, so I don't know what other podcasters thought. But from what I've seen on Twitter, what I've seen on Facebook, what I've seen just in general, it has not shown me that anybody was, like, disappointed.
Well, there was probably something in there for just about everyone. Nod to the classic Doctors. He had action for all the shippers. He had River and the Doctors.
Yeah,
perhaps final
snog.
Yeah, that's not my favorite part, but I can.
That's because you wish you were her.
Yeah, I like my Doctor more asexual. I don't like him in.
I think Joanna wishes it was her for sure.
I like my Doctor.
Not even a giggle
not
out of her.
Involved.
Is she even listening?
You got me pretty much. You pretty much hit it on the nose. Sorry, Nicole.
But it didn't ruin the story.
No,
because you understood why.
And
he kissed
I
her.
was.
It had a reason and a purpose. It wasn't like it just happened.
Okay, so that's not like my favorite storyline for the Doctor, the romances. But I'm fine with that. People.
I guess
like
inevitably.
That, but
I guess inevitably it must have happened at some point in his life. I mean, 1,000 years, and he's got a kid somewhere. I mean, it was just great. And the introduction of the way John Hurt was introduced at the end was just brilliantly done. And there's a few theories on who he really is, and I didn't think about this till just now. I was gonna say it's obvious he's one of the Doctors. He could be the reincarnation of the Master, even realistically, but I don't think so. I think he's definitely a Doctor of some sort. Because a lot of people have said maybe he's the Valeyard, which could be. Because Valeyard was number 12? 12th generation?
He was...
In between 11 and 12?
I think it was between...
10 and 11?
What's Valeyard?
Who's Valeyard?
The Valeyard was in the Trial of the Time Lord series. It was like a series of episodes where the Doctor was on trial. He was played by Colin Baker at the time, the Doctor. And there was a character called the Valeyard. And the Valeyard was trying to hang the Doctor, basically, and it came out at the end that he was like an evil version of the Doctor from like between regenerations or something, like something weird. So some people have speculated maybe this is him. This character, I mean, there's no one's going to know for sure who or what he is, but there's a lot of things he could be. All I know is it's going to be a great ride, and it was. This episode was just. Every other episode we find something to nitpick on, and we have like an hour and 20 minutes of stuff. I got nothing.
I mean, what was your favorite part of the episode? I mean,
my favorite part was when Clara entered the time stream. And you saw her influencing all the Doctor's decisions. You saw her saying, "This is what you want here. You don't want this TARDIS." You know. But
Doctor?
Kind of surprised Hartnell would listen to her, though. I would think he'd go, "No." I don't know what my... I like the conference call.
That was best. That was funny.
Because I just thought they did a really good job of... Because the episode was so, like, serious and dark, so you got some humor in there. And then, like, gradually it just, like, shifted into the creepy, dark part with Jenny, like, realizing something was wrong, and just kind of, like, gradually it shifted in tone and then went into the much darker story for the rest of the episode. But, which I said, I think in last year's finale, that conference call would have gotten, like, I said, a minute or two, and then it would have been like, okay, here's the information. Oh, quick, cut out of it. Next thing. Whereas this time I felt like things weren't... He kind of let scenes play out, and then there'd be a lot of action, and then they'd slow it down again. So it because I just thought last year's finale was like too much. All thrown in there so fast. Which is what I was worried about with this year. Kept going, are they going to do another finale like that? But actually I thought it played out well. And I liked, which we didn't talk about, the idea that that's why Clara was all over the place. It worked. I wasn't sure what kind of explanation he was going to have for that, because they kept saying she's a normal girl. I was like, well, then how can she be in different places? Same girl. But I have to admit, Moffat did it. He came up with an explanation that I don't think anybody really came up with, and then it actually worked. I did love the scene, too, with Hartnell's Doctor. I just liked seeing him again. So how about you? How did you feel about the truth about Clara, I should say?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it was something that I didn't expect. It came out from left field. I felt like it was slaps. And it was just so good. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
We heard when...
It was the best... Sorry.
When we found out, the moment that we found out, you heard this audible gasp in the room. We were watching it, and we were like...
Clara was explained perfectly. In a way that made so much sense.
And I liked that they made her remember the conversation from Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, because I hated that they erased that in that episode.
Well, if she didn't remember it, she would never have done what she did, because she wouldn't have known.
So I was like, so at least that wasn't... Because it just seems so ridiculous when she couldn't remember that conversation anymore. I'm like, why did they take that away? But I'm like, okay, if they're giving it back to her now, that was better. And then, yeah, that was what made her realize what she did. But, yeah, I thought... And I said, I don't think anybody predicted that.
No.
All the theories going around about Clara.
We never really... I don't think the three of us really ever gave our theories on Clara. I mean, we kind of talked about what we thought might happen, but that was something that, to me, was a complete mystery. That
I had no idea, and I was fine with that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, I'm okay. If Moffat can surprise me with this, I will be thrilled.
And he did it.
Yep.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, I thought... I have to admit, I was not that I disliked Clara, but, like, earlier in the season, I was kind of more neutral towards her. Like, I didn't feel like we really knew her.
True.
Because it was, like, in the beginning, it was just, she seemed...
Well, I'm hoping she sticks around for a while. I'm hoping we get to know her more.
But I thought towards the
know,
end of the season,
yeah.
like with Nightmare and Silver and this one, I started going, oh, I think I like her now. Like she's finally.
You know, it's funny because she's like the cutest girl next door looking person, but she can like take on the Cybermen and she can do all these things. It's like great. It's like Amy Pond was attractive in Amy Pond. I guess in a way, I've heard somebody else say this. Amy Pond was sexy, where Jenna Louise Coleman is just like adorable in a way. I guess I don't know. They're like so totally different, and the personalities are so totally different. And to have them both in the same series is like. I think that is why a lot of people had trouble getting used to her in the beginning, too. Because she was so different from how Amy was.
It's nice that I'm glad that she's different. Because you don't want anyone to be like the previous person. Because everyone has their own individualities and likes, dislikes.
Well, I like how she is... I like how she handled it differently. Like Amy had the whole Amelia Pond little girl thing going, so the story was way different, and there was a lot different things going on there. Where Jenna Louise Coleman, or not Jenna Louise Coleman, Clara knows, like, it doesn't have that backstory to worry about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't have parents. Well, I think her dad might still be alive.
Because the Bells of St. John, did they say he tells her dad called? Yeah.
So, I think you'll see less drama that, in a way, that doesn't revolve around the show. Like, like when you had Martha's Family. It was kind of like, they were like for 5 episodes, they were plotting against the Doctor the whole time. Like, they didn't trust their daughter's judgment, but some group of strangers they don't know they trusted, no problem. Although, I don't think you'll see that.
Although Clara has the annoying children.
But they seemed satisfied when they left, so I don't know if you'll see much more of them in like full episodes.
They were in this one though. I'm hoping
But it was just a little bit part. They weren't in the bulk of the episode.
And they were still obnoxious.
Yeah, they were.
Making fun of her for her mother's souffle, like
her dead mother's souffle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that had to be said because she made the comment about it's not the souffle's ingredients or whatever. So I could deal with seeing them for a minute or two here and there before she takes off. I could do that. I don't want to see them in full episodes because they can't act.
I hope not.
And they're obnoxious and horrible.
Yeah,
but I think I would like to see, now that this is done, I'm hoping they can develop Clara's actual personality in. See, I'm doing what Matt Smith does. I'm calling her Clara and Clara in the same episode. I'm hoping that they could develop her, and I hope she sticks around. And even when Matt Smith leaves, I would like to see her stick around for at least one season with the next person, like we used to have. Like, John Pertwee with Sarah Jane, and then Sarah Jane was with Tom Baker. It would be nice to do that. And she, I think, is the character that can, because she doesn't have those other ties.
I think she was...
I was so happy not to see a wedding dress.
I kind of want to... I want to see her come into her own person.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Yeah, like, develop her more. And, to be honest, part of it could be just that I think she's cute. That I want to see her stick around. I'm a guy. I'm a geeky guy. What are you gonna do? I mean, every time we say we might have seen Matt Smith in person, what's Joanna over there do? She swoons into the microphone. See? There you go. Thank you. Right on cue.
Yeah.
As always.
You're welcome.
But, so anyways, yeah, my favorite part, I don't know. I love how the time stream looked. I thought the special effects in this episode were great. I don't know. I don't have one thing I didn't really like. Like I said, even the creatures. What were they called? The Whispermen? Even them. I mean, yeah, I could have done without them, but they were fine. I wouldn't say get rid of them. I wouldn't say I hated them.
No.
I wouldn't want to see them come back in any... I mean... But, and the TARDIS cracking open the way it did, and the Doctor saying, I didn't say my name, and River admitting she did. And what I loved was at the moment when he looked at her and said, I do listen to you. I do know you're here. Mm-hmm. I think that was great. I love that moment. When he grabs her hand when she goes to slap him. Mm-hmm. I love that moment, and
They made it real.
Clara realizing. Oh, we were talking about developing Clara's character more. That's where we left off before the pause. You know, I think that was a big step in developing her character, where she realizes, in a sense, in the grand scheme of the cosmos, she was put there to save him. To be completely honest, her character saving the Doctor was probably better than any other companion's way of saving the Doctor. Because, like, Rose looked into the time stream, right, and pretty much erased time. Apparently erased the Daleks from time, but they've been in every series. So, but, you know, the way it was just done was just... Because it was explained, it made perfect sense. Every other finale, I enjoyed a lot of them, but there were plot holes, there were issues. This one, I can't find a thing wrong with it. And I'm sure somebody out there can. And, you know, if you're listening and you find something wrong with this, send us a message on Twitter. Message on Facebook. You can find us on both. You know, we have an email address. I think it's 2G1G1TARDIS@gmail.com. You know, we'd love to hear what you guys think. I mean, but I got nothing.
And I said I was, when you weren't here, another thing I was saying, I went on about the idea that I said I was kind of worried because I felt like the finales, they tend to just cram too much into too little time, and they just aren't satisfying then because nothing's developed. It's just here. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Like the wedding of Riversong to me felt kind of rushed. Like, okay, we got to wrap up the storyline.
You know what's funny about that is that storyline was going on for 8 episodes.
But then to
or more
to end it was just like.
But this series did not seem to have an overall story arc.
I mean, well, there was the
Clara thing.
He had to ask is she a normal girl? Okay,
but
like,
I mean,
there was the little
but there was no like you had Bad Wolf that went through the whole thing. You had you know Saxon. You had you know what I mean.
Torchwood.
Yeah, there was something that followed and led through all of them. This didn't have that. And it worked very well. I mean, it had it a little bit, like you said. He went to talk to the person about her in Hyde.
And Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, he told her.
Yeah.
So
there were little things, but not like... not like the crack that followed him on every episode. You know? And that being said, that obviously... Because the episodes don't... The thing is, like, a lot of the episodes from the past years would tie together somehow at the beginning or end. Like I said, like the crack in time and space, or the Saxon thing, or the Bad Wolf thing. There was always some tie-in. This, wasn't that in your face.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I do too. I think it was great.
What are your thoughts on this being the tie-in for the 50th anniversary special? I think it could work. Did we talk about it?
I thought it was
we can talk about it. I mean, we don't have any spoilers about the 50th, so it doesn't matter. I mean, everyone knows now John Hurt's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it seems like it made me more excited for the 50th, because I thought, well, this almost could have been like the 50th.
Oh my God, right? That's what I thought. I'm like, this was...
And I mean, there are still options open, because he is still, at the end of this, in his own time stream, so they can still play around a little more with past doctors. Or
is he in his own time stream, or is Trenzalore the prison for John Hurt's character? Because it looks like he's looking out over Trenzalore, because when they got to Trenzalore, it kind of looked like that. But either way, I mean, Trenzalore is obviously a somewhat magical, for lack of a better term, place. I mean, so I thought as a tie-in it worked fine. I mean, you know why? Because it was done well.
And that was just enough about John Hurt's character to
and to
make you
the explanation
really want to know now.
The explanation that the Doctor gave of who he was and how the namesake works, And
I was so happy that the Doctor's biggest secret was not, in fact, his name.
But it's John Hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's great.
I was like,
but his
this
name
isn't going to be...
His name was the key to the secret, because it opened the TARDIS doors that put them in the time stream to find him.
Well, and it was all about, and unlike The Bells of St. John, this title actually was what the episode was about, because he has that part at the end that his name is the Doctor. It's the name he chose.
Yeah.
So that's why, and then there's the one that didn't live up to the name.
And the little interaction where John Hurt goes, I did what needed to be done to protect or do whatever it was exactly. And then Matt Smith just, the way he even says it when he goes, but you didn't do it in the name of the Doctor.
Yeah.
It was such a good little interaction piece right there that it's like, this show, I liked Series 7 better than 6, to be honest. And kind of better than 5. I liked Matt Smith in all of them. And I liked Amy in Series 5. I liked her in part of 6. But this whole series, there were a few episodes that waned, in my opinion, in the beginning. And even this section had one or two that were kind of not great. But they weren't, on average, I think they were pretty good. This episode just was the best finale they've ever done since the show came back. Because they really didn't did they really have season finales back in the old days? They were just kind of like
so
episodes.
Much, yeah.
I don't think even Regenerations were season finales half the time.
No, Hartnell's was in the middle of the year.
I don't believe Baker and Davison were a season finale either. I mean, they may have done it once or twice. Maybe Pertwee no? Well, Pertwee may have became Tom Baker at a season finale.
And I think Troughton was a season finale.
And in the new series, Eccleston was.
Yes.
But I mean, in the old series, finales weren't like they are like now. They're not this big epic event. They just weren't They were just another. I mean, maybe they throw a Dalek episode at the end or something, but I don't remember it being like an epic thing.
Well,
so for them to do,
they just regenerated at the end of a season because that was when their contract was up, and it's like, okay, making the change. It wasn't as much like
that could have been too
a big
cliffhanger.
Ta-da.
Yeah, it was like, okay, he has to leave.
Well, see, it's hard for us to know because, like, when I'd watch them on Channel 11, they just kept showing them every Sunday for years. It was on, so it wasn't like it followed, what was actually on at the time. But since they started doing these season finales, and quite honestly, even the Christmas specials, this season had the best of the two. I think I do like the Christmas Carol one. That was good. But the Snowman was pretty damn good. This
was the only one that really was... Well, Christmas Invasion, I guess, was. But most of the time, they're not even really, part of a story. He doesn't have his regular companions. He doesn't have...
Yeah.
They're kind of like little extra bonuses. They're not...
Christmas Invasion was good. I could have done without Torchwood blowing up the ship at the end and stuff like that.
That's the only other one that I think was kind of like...
A tie-in.
In a continuity with the rest, because
Series 7, starting with the Christmas special, was just... we can talk about what we thought of the whole series now, because it's over. Asylum was great. Asylum got bumped to number 2.
Oh.
Well, because, come on. Quite honestly, this was better. Name of the Doctor was slightly better was a better episode than Asylum. But Asylum was great. Dinosaurs was enjoyable. A Town Called Mercy was next up, is that right? I've watched it 3 times and it still does not work. To me, it's not horrible. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work as a Western. It doesn't work as a Doctor Who episode. It almost works as a video game from a kind of not great developer. The storyline's not bad.
No,
it just doesn't. It doesn't feel right. And a lot of the early episodes, Amy was so self-righteous about stuff. It was kind of annoying to me. But, and then after that was Power of 3.
Yep.
Which, I don't know which I like worse. And then Power of 3.
The only part I liked in Power of 3 when Amy opens one of the doors to the cube and it was playing
the chicken dance, yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I will say that part of that episode was fine. That part, when the cube's activated, until they got to the spaceship, and even the beginning when they're on the spaceship at first, is fine. And then it gets kind of corny. Like, all these people have had cardiac arrest for, like, hours, and he's like, I could reverse it, the polarity. No, it doesn't work that way. But, so that episode, it had a moment or two that I thought was okay. So I'll put that above The Town Called Mercy. Was it Angels Take Manhattan?
Yep.
What was that called? Angels in Manhattan?
Angels Take Manhattan.
I enjoyed it. A ton of plot holes that you could drive a Mack truck through.
Yeah.
But it was enjoyable. It was fun. I guess in a sense, was it really a fitting end to Amy and Rory? I don't know. Was it really a fitting end? I don't honestly know. I mean,
I thought it was.
I guess because Amy, one of her first really horrible experiences was with the Angels. Remember the sand coming out of her eyes and stuff? And that was what, her first season?
Yeah. That was the 4th episode, I think.
Yeah. So, that, I guess is fitting. And then we got to the Christmas
Snowman,
episode,
yeah.
Snowman, which I actually enjoyed. I wish
Yeah.
there would have been a fight with Vostra and Jenny and the Snowman with the swords. Just chopping Snowman up, I think, would have been great to have seen. Or Strax blasting them. I mean, why not? Why didn't you? You know, that would have been nice. Like they're trying to hold him off to give him more time or something. You know, that would have been neat. But overall, it was definitely good. And then we had the Spoon Men, which every time I hear, I think of Soundgarden. And at first, I wasn't too high on that episode. And I think if you listen to our podcast about it, I was kind of like, eh. After watching it a second time, it was a fun ride of an episode. Mm-hmm. And there were some clever things in it. I think the only episode I didn't care for was in this section was maybe Crimson Horror.
Bells of Occitan.
Yes, Bells of Occitan. The
Rings.
Rings of
Yes,
Occitan.
I said bells
you
again.
keep saying bells. Rings of Occitan was definitely
that's
not.
That's my problem here. I think Bells of St. John, and then
Rings of Occitan was definitely my least favorite, and then followed by Crimson Horror. Crimson Horror had promise, and there were parts that were good. To me, it was too campy, a little bit. I like a lot of things they did in it. I like the sepia effect when he was the old time. What is it called?
Kinescope.
Kinescope. Thank you.
Thing.
Or rotoscope or kinescope, one of the two.
Kinescope was the early motion picture. At the time, that's how you would have watched the movie.
So I enjoyed that. The more I think about it, the more I did enjoy that episode. What ruined it to me still is shoehorning the kids at the end.
Oh, I hated that ending, but I just don't really count that as part of the episode.
And to be honest, the Cybermen episode, I had a lot of hope for it, and there were some things that were neat. The constant upgrading and how they can magically do stuff was BS. So I was really undecided how this season finale was going to be, and then it aired, and it was phenomenal. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I said to me, I kept hoping with the mystery about Clara. I was like, I hope he has a good explanation for this, especially when you learned that wasn't his original plan necessarily, because he changed his mind, and so I'm like, is this really gonna all pay off? And I said, I kept going, I hope it does, because I have no theory. As we said, I had no idea what would.
Yeah. And the last thing she says to the doctor before she enters the time stream, you know, what was it? Run, you clever boy,
and remember me.
And it was just perfect.
All her other versions just said, and remember.
But yeah, I thought that he just tied it all together so well for a change. And you almost wonder if part of it is because there's so many writers writing episodes that he gives them the idea of where things have to go, but maybe that's why some of them don't tie together so well. And then obviously the one he wrote was. So.
But almost all of the episodes that we thought, that we generally agreed were really good this year were all the ones written by Moffat. Because he wrote Asylum, he wrote Angels Take Manhattan, he wrote The Snowmen, he wrote...
We didn't agree that Angels Take
John.
Manhattan was good. We agreed it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Let's not get carried away.
No, I wasn't... I said, I...
Well, we liked the Christmas episode. Did he write The Snowman? Oh, okay, well... did he write...
He wrote The Bells of St. John, and then...
Did he write Hyde?
No.
Okay, well, Hyde was good. And Dinosaurs he didn't write, and Dinosaurs was good enough.
But definitely most of the at least the most memorable episodes of the. Because I had my issues with Angels Take Manhattan, but
I will say that unlike Russell Davis seemed to really like. He went big on his finales, too big, almost. Like there was such just blown out like. Hey, look, everyone's here flying the TARDIS. Magically, everyone knows what they're supposed to... Well, he did walk around and tell them what to do, but still, it's like... Who in their right mind would make a spaceship that takes 6 people to fly? Even the Enterprise didn't take 6. It took 2. And the captain, 3. And it kind of had an autopilot, even. So... Joanna, we want to hear more Joanna because you don't talk quite as much as we do. So I want you to go on for a couple minutes here.
My favorite episode. This has been my favorite episode of the Matt Smith era so far, and I'm looking forward to the 50th. I'm in agreement that Asylum of the Daleks is also right up there for the series, but. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm trying to think about what I've seen and what I haven't seen, and to me, some of the bit parts made up for some of the plot holes in some of the episodes. Like the cubes, like the Power of 3, some of the bit things, but when the cubes activated. That was...
Yeah, that was neat.
That was funny. I think he could have not have had the Statue of Liberty move.
I think he did it because that's the icon of, like, New York.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, it's either that or the Empire State, and the Empire State's not going to get up and walk. Luckily.
I mean, my question is,
I understand. I agree that he didn't have to
do it.
Well, I think there he was going big.
Yeah.
That was his...
But even his big wasn't Russell Davis.
No.
Jesus pose floating through the air big.
No.
For the fans.
No.
His big was more for the fans.
Well, Russell
Just think about it for a second. How many theories?
Yeah.
How many people were saying the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel because it's constantly being looked at?
I mean, it worked well. It worked well. You know what? As bad as it was cool to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I will say that.
It looked cool.
Yeah, it looked cool, and I could accept that.
But
it should have taken him on 7 different occasions, but yeah.
Russell T. Davis, though, he went so big that every single finale that he did, you needed to reset everything because the whole universe was
He basically ripped a hole in
whack.
time and space. He ripped the universe a new one.
So his definitely went bigger because you needed to just erase them or else life could not continue.
Yeah, but like the Saxon one, it was in the near future, and they have like an Avenger, an Avenger style floating base in the clouds. And I'm like, really, it's like 5 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little bit of a far reach.
I like how Unit was handled this time around better.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, even with the cubes, I like how Unit was handled better than how it was in the Santaran episode.
I think I'm kind of glad that the Briggs daughter is going to be in the 50th.
Aren't you wondering how they're going to do that?
Yes, I'm like,
I just thought about that. How do you put her? And what's that other actress, Jennifer? Whatever, is it Jennifer? Joanna.
Joanna
Page.
Yeah.
What is she going to play? I mean, because they're on Trenzalore or in his time stream, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, they must.
And how big of a part is John Hurt going to have?
I think it's going to be pretty.
I mean,
significant.
it's going to be an interest. I mean, seeing how this finale was handled, which really could have been a 50th anniversary episode.
Mm-hmm.
I trust the handling of the 50th. Because I think that's what scared a lot of people, is you looked at the last series or two, and I keep saying season and series, I keep mixing them up. It's the same thing. You look at the last 2, and you think about how realistically, at the end of season 6, they didn't really need to bring Amy and Rory back this year. They had a good, happy ending. And to be honest, the Angels taking them, I didn't think they had a bad ending either way. In fact, have you noticed how the Angels take people back in time, and most of the time they have a better life than they did when they were here? Are the Angels really evil? Because remember Sally Sparrow's
Yeah.
friends, like, I met a great guy, and we got married, and we had a family of, like, 19 kids, and you know, Amy was a publisher, and they adopted a child, and, you know, it's like, you guys really didn't,
I
the
think
angels really didn't, most people seem to have much better lives, except for the ones in the hotel, because they were stuck in the hotel their whole lives.
my thoughts on the angels. You just hit something with me. If they have such a better life now, I think the reason why people think the angels are bad is because you take them away from your current family and friends.
Right,
That's
but
why they're bad.
not one of the people that they talked about was like, oh, my life sucked, I wanted to hang myself. You know what I mean? I'm just saying they could have made it like, they could have made it seem like people had it harder back then. I mean, plus it was funny how, like, everyone, like, was used to the technology of their time, but then they got sent back
They
in, like,
adjust
life, and they're
really
like,
well.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they adjusted great. You know, I mean, Amy and Rory didn't get sent back that far, maybe to the 30s, 20s.
Yeah, it was 30s.
Yeah. And they were in New York, so it's not like they were, you know.
What I want to see now is, like, if this could have, I agree, this could have been an excellent 50th anniversary special. I would love to see the Doctor and Clara follow John Hurt's Doctor through, like, the series, like, the 50th anniversary season.
Oh, you mean, like, make Series 8 a 50th anniversary? You know what?
Yes.
Now I'm wondering, when they say it's going to be bigger than the November 23rd special, November 23rd, is that right?
Yeah.
Is it going to be something that's like that? Is it going
I
to be?
hope so.
You know, is it something where Tennant and Matt Smith are together for episodes, or is there? Is it going to be like a redemption of John Hurt's character? Yeah, you know, and none of those would really be that bad if it's done right.
No. It could be actually quite well.
I mean, to quote David Tennant, what?
Just think about it for a second. It could be quite interesting to see this. This, for me, it would have been very cool to see all of this, follow him, work with him, redemption.
You know what I still think one of the coolest parts of this episode was?
What?
Like, I thought the Doctor and not Zoe, the Doctor and his granddaughter, Susan. No,
Susan.
Yeah. What's the Barbara's the teacher. I thought they were getting like in an elevator or something, right? And then all of a sudden she's like, "You don't want that one. You want this one. You're making a mistake." And I'm like, "That's what a TARDIS looks like in its native form. That's awesome that they showed that." And it was a shape that made sense of what it would be. I'm like, that was so well done. That was. And the clip they took at Hartnell, like you said, Nicole, was like the perfect quintessential clip of William Hartnell. What you would expect him to do.
Except I would think he wouldn't listen to her, since at that point he didn't listen to anyone.
But he was stealing. But he was stealing a TARDIS, and you know.
First time I watched it,
I feel bad
like,
because McGann's like the forgotten Doctor.
Yeah.
Like McGann's not a bad guy. He's a good actor. The movie wasn't great, but because it was only that one movie and he didn't have time to really get into the role, like you know, over a couple episodes, he's the forgotten. You know. In a way, I do wish that instead of John Hurt, it was McGann, just to have that link to, because McGann's movie was a link to the McCoy era, because McCoy was in it, so you could have linked it all together. But I think John Hurt will be fine. I don't have a problem with what they're doing.
I still would love to see them, like, before he gets out of the time stream, as he obviously must, to involve UNIT and all these other things. I thought it would be nice if he could, like, encounter McGann's Doctor somehow in some just little scene, just to give some kind of nod to McGann, put him in a second story.
Do you think John Hurt's going to be the Doctor between McGann and Eccleston? Do you think he's the Doctor that performed the Time War?
I wondered, because when they said, you know, I did what I had to do, I went,
maybe
is that the
maybe
Time
that's
War?
the Doctor. Maybe that's who Eccleston regenerated into Eccleston.
Yeah, I wondered that.
Or it could be a different storyline. Like I said, there was a book where there was a Doctor that was a future incarnation of the Doctor that was evil, which kind of was what the Valyard was. Mm-hmm. It could be the Valyard, who was mentioned in the episode by the Great Intelligence.
Yeah, I don't know, but I did. That was the first thing that came into my head. I went, did he like? Is this the Doctor that ended the Time War?
Well, because I think they wanted not
But yeah, that was the first thing that went into my mind. I was like, is it something to do with the Time War?
In fact, I thought that the scene they showed of... I have a feeling that Trenzalore was like the last battle of the Time War or something. The way they make it sound. Because they were like, this is where all time travelers go to die. Well, most time travelers were people that would have fought in the Time War. The Daleks, the Cybermen, the Time Lords. I mean, there was only so many races that had time travel. That could have been the end point, you know. I don't know. I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah,
and
but the first thing that went into my mind, though, when he said that was, does he have something to do with the Time War? Because
yeah, obviously it's something to do with something bad.
Yeah. And I thought
obviously it wasn't good. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of redemption for his character in the 50th. I mean...
We'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe John Hurt's Doctor is the in-between guy that was in the Time War. So anyways, I don't really have anything else. I mean, you guys?
Nope.
No, I think we...
heaped enough praise on Stephen Moffat for one night.
Yes.
I don't think there's been one episode that we've all been this unanimously like, yes, it was great. Like, there were ones where we were kind of like, it was good, or, but this was bad, or this, but this one, I didn't find one thing wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was no Curse of the Black Spot. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it was pretty good.
I don't know. I don't know if it's as good as The End of Time.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Oh. We know how you feel about that.
It's really hard to decide between this and World War III. Because those Slovene costumes were so authentic and realistic looking.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's been episode
13.
13 of...
Yes. 2 girls, a guy, and a TARDIS.
Yay!
Very good. It saves me the trouble of stumbling over it like a moron. And thanks for joining us. Send us some messages. Let us know what you think. What did you think of this episode? Are we on par here, thinking it was the best of the season? You know, are we wrong? Why are we wrong? And don't just say because we're stupid. If your argument is because you're dumb, guess what that makes you? So, if you just, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Email address is 2g1g1tardis@gmail.com. I could say that, no problem. I can't say the name of the show, though.
Well, because you just got to stick with G's.
So, we'll probably see you in 2 weeks. I think we're taking a week off because everyone's kind of busy next weekend. And the season ended, and we need to calm down off the high of the finale. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you later.